let's eat indeed, and let's keep this brief. This is episode 3 of Munchables Minimum Jump Challenge. Let's see what we're gonna do today. We're beginning off today's session with World 5, a world that looks like maybe it would be something from the Luigi's Mansion series, but it's just a haunted house in this world. Time to go inside. Upon entering the mansion, we have given a spread shot of several different rooms in the mansion. As you can see, it's a very large area, and there's probably going to be a few things that are going to be hard to get to. But with a little bit of jank and luck, we should hopefully be able to get through without any jumps. The only thing that scares me are these stairs. I don't know how we're going to progress past them, but I'm sure we'll find out soon. We start off nice and simple by learning this world's mechanics, and for the very first level, it's keys. I mean, doors are locked, you get a key, you open the door. Pretty simple, nothing too complicated, but now we have to find the keys in order to get through the rest of the doors. We immediately grab this first key here in order to be able to press through orange doors. I mean, it's right in front of our face, might as well get it, there's no point in waiting. We take the orange key and continue moving in hopes of finding a door that we can open. However, we find a door that's locked, another door that's locked, and oh look, another door! But it's also locked with the key from before. How do we get these? I don't know. We'll see. Where's all the orange doors? Oh, there's one. And believe it or not, it effectively goes nowhere. When you go through this door, the next door immediately afterwards requires a key we do not have access to. And with that, we go back to the main area, where we've got one last path that we could take that I've been kind of fearing from the start. The chandeliers. Now, these start off simple enough, but they don't continue that way. You can easily get onto the first one by just kind of walking onto it. It's not that much of a distance, and you don't fall down. I was hoping to get a few more levels in size in order to just be able to walk across or even dash to the next one, but unfortunately that's not going to be the case. I thought I would have to potentially use an extra jump here, but I did decide to go through a few more times and take a few minutes to actually look around and see what my options were, and I did manage to find something. Right here, I was able to use this bit of chain and whatever this link is at the bottom to gain a little bit of height and use a dash off of it to bounce backwards onto the platform next. However, it's not as simple as it looks, but I am going to coin this term slope dashing, because it allows you to get height without actually gaining height by jumping. I'm going to try and explain to the best of my abilities how this works. Basically, if you line yourself up just right and start walking up a wall and then dash about halfway as long as it's slanted properly, you're allowed to use a dash and slowly gain a little bit of height as long as the dash is still going. Eventually gravity will take over and the dash will go back down, but if it's only a small enough gap, you should easily be able to make it across. Anyways, here's an uncut portion of it that I actually used to manage to make it across. Oh, and hey look, another door for us to finally use our orange key on that might actually lead somewhere. And find something we did. After walking down a couple of halls, we managed to find... Wait a second. Is that a Mega Boss being reused as a mini-enemy? This is one of those games, huh? After exploring around and getting through each of the areas, we realized that pretty much everything is a dead end, other than this area beneath the terrace. I would say, oh no, ghostly ghouls! But, you know, if machines aren't going to stop this guy from eating anything, I doubt zombies are. Well, I hope nobody's thirsty as we make our way into one of the abandoned wells, allowing us to get access to the yellow key. It looks very much like a lemon, and that's probably the point, because everything's food themed here, it makes sense. Not that it's necessarily important or anything, but it was kind of funny that there was a bunch of food running around on this table. Very ironic for, you know, me being something that eats a lot of these things. Ah, there's the last key, and also... Ah! Ghosts! Somebody call Luigi! We need help! Oh wait, they're just carrots and sheets. I'm pretty sure I can handle this. We just have to hunt 20 of these things down. That's not too bad. 20 of them, we do. I'm hoping that edit looked as cool as I thought it did, but honestly I don't know, and I spent about 15 minutes trying to make that, so I mean if it turns out well, yay, but we have more of the video to get to, so let's go on and continue forwards to the second level. Level 2 brings us into the great outdoors, so it's all foggy and musty. My favorite. Anyways, if we can make it through all of the allergies and dark pollens, we'll eventually make it to find that the great orb is no longer here. Who would have expected that after everything that's already happened? But our main goal now is not to worry about that. Instead, it is to take out the Boss Pirate. There's not too much of particular note in this level. Honestly, this was a pretty simple one. A lot of it was just walking up walls and chomping on things that were a size that I was able to access. The boss himself was easy and I could have taken him out a long time ago, but I decided to try and go for a few of the extra nuts in order to get 100% of this level. And here's a couple of them that were a little interesting and kind of hard to get at first until I figured a way around them. In case you weren't aware, because I forgot to mention it in the last area, the stairs in this game aren't really programmed like stairs. They're more programmed like a ramp. So, thankfully, the last area didn't have anything that was impossible for us to get around without jumping, because we could just walk up them. The other thing to note in this game is it seems like the further you get, the more they spawn these bomb enemies. And it's kind of annoying because they are the only enemy in the game that when you consume them will deal damage to you no matter what their size, but in the same rate, I should be getting better to be able to just dash into them and throw them away. So, I don't really know what the solution is here, but I'm going to try and get better about that. But it's been kind of annoying with how many they've just been putting out there. Most of the acorns in this area were fairly easy to collect, and not too much of a problem. There was, however, one of them. That one in the tree there you just saw. That one was a little more complicated as it wasn't in the area that I could just put my foot on or walk around to. So I had to come up with a clever way of just munching and kind of dashing with the munch off of the top area with a little bit of extra size, and I was actually able to get it. This leader pirate was definitely large and in the way, however, we definitely came back once we had the levels that were required and munched him right up. We are now entering the domain of the Mushroom Thriller. You know, like, Thriller! Thriller! You know that. It's pretty much going to be probably that if I had to bet. No, this is a boss fight? Oh. Well, if you've been here, you know the drill by now. Eat some lackeys, get the acorns, punch the big guy, he reveals his weak spot to you after trying to kill you, and you munch him up a few times and he's done for. With that, we conclude Chapter 5. However, I wanted to make a comment here. Don Onion comes in to warn his minion about what's going to happen. And while he's technically the bad guy and wants to take over the planet and everything, he does seem like he genuinely cares about his minions. Can't say that about every leader, especially not the bad ones. Our next area is for all the who cares? It's for all the people who like sugar and sweet treats. This whole area is a sweets factory, or a bakery, or, I don't know exactly what it is, but it makes a lot of sugary treats. And there's a lot of them here, so hope you get your fill. Our goal in this level is quite simple. We just need to make it to the end and try to continue onwards, to get to the bigger treat enemies. But it's kind of ironic. This area has little to no actual sugar enemies that you can eat. Most of them are still just these fruits and vegetables. Kind of sad being in a sugary area and not being able to eat any of it. Our first struggle for this area was trying to get up this wall here. It almost seemed like there was no way to access it. I tried using this elevator to go up, I even tried falling down to see if there was a way to go backwards, but nothing seemed to work. Until I somehow wedged myself in this corner, and this sign kinda just clipped me upwards. Eventually though, after going through enough of the level, we managed to make it to this area where these sweet treats get packaged as presents, and accidentally put ourselves in one as well. Well, that wasn't the plan, but I assume it'll work out, right? It always does. And work out it does, as we use our plot armor like any main character does, and we were able to spawn on top of the chest instead of inside of it. Don't ask me how this happens, but it definitely makes this level easier not being stuck inside of a box. Just saying. With that, this level's finally almost over. Wait, what's that? Wait, it's the Great Grapey? Wait, it can't... Oh wait, that's not him. But he does seem to shoot similarly to him. How peculiar. Maybe their characters are that easy to replace. Anyways, make your way past the gruesome grapey knockoffs and munch these presents down at the very end, and you'll make your way to the next level. Level 2 starts us off by going deeper into the factory, finding a giant cake that needs to be delivered, because if it's not, the factory will lose its credibility. Ooh, is that ice cream? Finally a dessert enemy that we can eat! The sweets are nearly there, they're palpable. Not gonna lie, this crusher section here was a major concern for me at first. To the right of this, there's a ledge that's quite high up and hard to get over. In fact, at my current size, I just can't get over it. However, if I was somehow able to get on top of this crusher, or even use the side of it to gain a little bit more height, I could dash across the right side and make it. This trick was a little bit more complicated than I thought it was, but I also tended to complicate it a little bit, and was actually able to just get on top in the end anyways. Other than that, there weren't really much in the ways of major obstacles. There was a few enemies that were extra large in size, but again, since we're not doing a no dash run, they were pretty simple to just pop and take care of. The only other thing I feel like I should mention here is that this area feels kind of like a maze, but not in the kind of sense where it's got a bunch of paths that lead to one exit, rather that all the paths kind of lead backwards into themselves until you manage to make it to the end. Which happened to be pretty much right at the beginning, we just couldn't get in the gate originally. With that, we're finally onto the ice cream boss man. Finally, some sugar, some sweets, but here's also something interesting. Unlike most of the other bosses, his little minion buddies, they actually respawn. Most other enemies and bosses do not do this. Although they only respawn twice, so I guess it's not too special, but it's still more than others. Alright, who left their giant chocolate bunny in the car from Easter? It's melting everywhere and it's getting all over the factory! Wait, that wasn't the chocolate bunny? That was a malfunction? I mean, that makes more sense, but I think the bunny thing is funnier. Here we face off against the one, the only, the Big Choco. You know, the big sugary chocolate bar, the one that looks so scrumptious. Now, let me save you a little bit of time here. He acts pretty much like Big Grapey, Great Grapey, excuse me, but with a little bit more sporadicness. Otherwise, though, he's pretty much the same fight. However, with this one I decided to go ahead and stretch out the fight a little bit by eating his little minions and gaining a few levels, to try and get the S rank. Even though it's not really necessary, it's kind of fun to go for in certain occasions. And look at that, Don Onion's back one more time. He really does actually care about these guys. Or maybe he cares about just trying to become the strongest in the universe. I don't really know, but either way, he does actually at least, look after his minions. He could be the one who destroys them instead, like all your anime villains, but whatever. Finally, with that, we unlock World 7. But the Great Elder actually something he wants to tell us. Something very important to the lore, I suppose. Something about his friend, Don Onion. I bet you didn't see this one coming! Flashback time!
This happened a very long time ago, long before I was called the Great Elder. Back then, Don Onion and I were the best of friends. We worked together side by side for the good of the planet. We focused our research on ways to raise good and healthy Tabemon monsters. But one day that changed when I saw something terribly troubling. What? No! It can't be! What are you doing? Have you completely lost your mind? What is going on here?
These are the creations I've been working on. My Neo-Tabemon monsters will soon be complete. Soon I will be the ruler of the universe.
You fool! This is madness! Neo-Tabemon monsters? So you can rule the universe? I couldn't believe my ears when I heard Don Onion's evil plan. I left the lab in complete disgust.
So, yeah, it looks like Don Onion's always been a bad guy. So, what I was saying before, I mean, he might care about his minions, but he definitely doesn't care about the rest of the universe, so that's fun. Well, while the video was shorter, it did go through a lot of information today. We found out that it doesn't require any jumps for these last two worlds, which is awesome, meaning we only have one jump currently, which is pretty good if I do say so myself. Kind of annoyed that it still exists, but we'll get rid of it eventually, I promise. As well as some major lore being added to the progress as well. Hopefully we'll eventually figure out what happened to those monsters. Well, I think that'll be all for me tonight. I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you later.